Sorry.
That time, too.
Traffic lights aren't working in the high street.
It's all right, I'm...
Step back in time, past the era of endless streaming and binge-watching, to the simple yet charming age of 70s British TV, when there were only 3 channels, no skip intro button, and, if you missed an episode, well, tough luck. These were the dramas that once ruled the living room. They had gravitas, they had grit, and sometimes they had absolutely no budget. From the brilliant to the bizarre, yet hardly anyone remembers them. So grab your tea, sink into your armchair, and join us as we revisit 10 British TV dramas from the 70s, that time genuinely forgot. Before Succession made rich family drama cool, the brothers were doing it in polyester suits and painfully slow board meetings. The show aired on the BBC from 1972 to 1976, follows the Hammond family after the death of Daddy Hammond, as 3 quarrelling sons inherit the family's trucking business and discover a surprise sister in the will. Cue power struggles, betrayals, and more backstabbing than a royal court, only with lorries instead of crowns. The cast included Gene Anderson, Colin Baker, a future Doctor Who, and Mike Pratt in his final role before his untimely death. It ran for 7 seasons and was massive at the time, drawing millions of viewers. But after the final wrap in 1976 with the Christmas Party finale, it simply vanished. Hugely popular in its day, now it's a forgotten gem. Court is now in session, and by court we mean the Crown Court, the real fake court cases on television. This was a low-budget daytime drama where actors played out fictional trials, but the jury? 100% real. Actual members of the public sat in and gave real verdicts. Produced by Granada Television, each case unfolded over 3 episodes, presenting prosecution, defence, and then the public's decision. It ran well over a decade and was basically law and order, minus the action, music, and dramatic lighting. The series was surprisingly funny, occasionally satirical, and pure 70s telly gold. Several now famous actors such as young Ben Kingsley got their start in the Crown Court. Watching it today feels like stepping into a time capsule of British moral anxiety, along with a fun guessing game of, is the defendant actually guilty or just really bad at acting? Despite its unique format, the show has largely faded from public memory. Set in the infamous German prisoner of war camp during World War II, Colditz was a British drama about Allied officers trying to escape from the supposedly escape-proof Colditz fortress. It wasn't just tunnels and disguises. It was a masterclass in patience, packed with suspense, psychological depth, and a cast that treated every scene like they were performing Shakespeare in khaki. You'd witness intricate plans involving homemade radio, forged documents, and even a secretly constructed glider, all while British, French, and Polish officers strategized who would escape first. Fun fact, David McCallum, aka Ducky from NCIS, played one of the leads years before becoming a cult icon. Unlike other war dramas, it was known for its historical accuracy, with real Colditz escapees acting as consultants. First aired in 1972, it stood out for its serious tone and layered storytelling, which makes it one of the best war dramas that no one under 50 remembers. The 70s gave us Survivors, a post-apocalyptic fiction drama where a mysterious virus wipes out most of the world's population, leaving only a scattered few to pick up the pieces. The show follows a small group of people, including a housewife, a government employee, and a scientist, trying to rebuild civilization from scratch. Unlike modern apocalyptic shows, it focused on the human side, showing the raw struggle of growing food, surviving winters, and deciding who to trust. It's low on action, high on realism and emotional tension. Created by Terry Nation, the mind behind the Daleks in Doctor Who, Survivors ran for 3 seasons and 38 episodes between 1975 and 1977. Nation left after the first series due to creative disagreements, but his bleak vision remained. BBC rebooted it in 2008, but it didn't capture the dread of the original and was cancelled after 2 seasons. Despite its relevance, Survivors faded out of public memory, too bleak for its time, too quiet for TV, and nearly wiped by the BBC. A family at war throws you into the middle of World War II, not from the trenches, but from the living room. Set in Liverpool, it follows the working-class Ashton family as they navigate domestic life, personal relationships, and everyday struggles amid blackouts, bombings, and the everyday chaos of surviving a world on fire. It's less about the battles and more about what war does to the people left behind. The mothers, the brothers, the lovers, the ones waiting by the radio. First aired in 1970, this 52-episode series had a huge ensemble cast with many familiar faces like John Nettles and Colin Douglas. Created by John Finch, who took inspiration from his own wartime experiences, the show tackled topics that were rarely seen on British television at that time: infidelity, PTSD, religious conflicts, and class divides. It was one of the first dramas to show the psychological toll of war on ordinary people. Despite strong viewership, it's now largely forgotten and rarely repeated. Meet Budgie, a small-time London crook with big dreams and no plans. Played brilliantly by Adam Faith, Budgie is the ultimate lovable loser drama. His never-ending hustle, usually involving some dodgy scheme, somehow made him oddly likeable. The show aired in 1971 to 1972 on ITV, following Budgie's misadventures, scams, and desperate attempts to escape the clutches of his boss, Charlie Endell. It was surprisingly funny, gritty, and praised for its realistic portrayal of petty crimes and anti-hero protagonist. Unlike more glamorous crime shows, it showed you the mess left behind. Written by the legendary duo Keith Waterhouse and Willis Hall, it made a big cultural splash at the time, even though it only ran for 2 seasons. And yet, today, barely mentioned. A rough little gem, forgotten in the back alley of British TV history. With no DVD re-release or major reruns, it simply slipped through the cracks. It's the future, it's the moon, and it's very, very British. Moonbase 3 aired in 1973 with only 6 episodes, but in that short time, it explored some heavy themes. Created by Barry Letts and Terence Dicks, and set in a European moonbase in 2003, the series aimed for realism over fantasy, focusing on the psychological strains, technical glitches, and bureaucratic nightmares of living in a tin can on the moon. It was like Space 1999, but without the fun, which is why it had only 6 episodes. The audience was expecting aliens and got spreadsheets. Ratings plummeted, and it disappeared into the archives like moon dust in a vacuum. Today, it's barely remembered. A strange little experiment that proved even in space, British TV still loves bureaucracy, breakdowns, and a solid cup of tea. Set on the sun-drenched Greek island of Crete, The Lotus Eaters sounds like a holiday drama, but don't be fooled. It's all espionage, broken marriages, and shady secrets behind whitewashed walls. The drama follows a British couple, Eric and Anne Shepherd, running a local tavern who seem charming on the outside and absolutely broken on the inside. Their bar becomes a magnet for drifters, loners, and tourists running from something. Everyone's got a past, and nobody's actually on holiday. Starring Ian Hendry and Wanda Ventham, and written by Michael J. Bird, the 15-episode series aired on BBC from 1972 to 1973. The show's name comes from Greek mythology, lotus eaters being people who forget everything, which is pretty ironic. since this show's been almost completely forgotten. The reason? It aired on a niche channel, never got repeated and lacked the action that made other dramas stick. What's it like being a rich Yorkshire landowner in the 70s? Enter Hadley, the drama that answers this exact question. James Hadley is a dashing, principled and permanently dressed country squire, navigating local injustices and personal relationships. It's basically Downton Abbey, but without the servants, more cardigans and less action. The show spun off from Gazette, a short-lived drama series, and somehow ran for 4 seasons with Gerald Harper in the lead role. It wasn't flashy, but it quietly tackled themes like rural decline, tradition versus progress, and class responsibility. It may not have made headlines, but Hadley captured a niche of British life that's rarely shown on TV today. Imagine the unthinkable. British soil under Nazi occupation. Enemy at the Door chillingly brought this scenario to life. The series takes place on the German-occupied Channel Island of Guernsey, where British civilians try to survive under Nazi rule. Aired on ITV from 1978 to 1980, starring Bernard Horsfall, Alfred Burke and Simon Cadell, it stood out for its tense, morally grey and darker themes, as the title suggests. The show was praised for portraying Germans not as cartoon villains, but as complex characters, some sympathetic, some truly cruel. The show ran for 2 seasons and pulled no punches in showing the psychological toll of occupation, but for some reason, it's largely forgotten today. Maybe because it made you squirm more than cheer, or maybe because it dared to say, not every war story has a clear villain or a tidy ending. And that's our deep dive into the British TV dramas of the 70s that time truly forgot. From family feuds to courtroom suspense, twisted thrillers, and even moody sci-fi set on the moon. Got a favourite? Drop it in the comments. Did we miss one? Let us know. We're always ready to dust off the archives. Like, subscribe, and stick around, because the telly might be old, but the nostalgia hits fresh.